Today, let us discuss project budgeting and how to arrive at a budget and what are the outputs of the budget. The key output of the budget is the project cost baseline. When we say cost baseline, that is the total budget of the project spread across a timeline. Month 1, month 2, month 3, kind of. So that we can always compare the actuals against it. The plan versus actuals. How much was the budget for January and how much did we consume? How much was the budget for February and how much did we consume? This is very important for the project's cost control, and that is the project cost baseline is the output of the key output of the budgeting process. Now I'll say this is the budgeting ecosystem, not in any sequence. So when we talk about project budgeting, we need to have the cost estimates, activity level, work package level. For that, we should know the activities and work packages. If we know, we can arrive at the cost estimates. Then in order to spread it on a timeline, we need to know the schedule, major activities or the high value activities. What is the start date and end date, which month they are starting and which month they are ending. This kind of information is important to arrive at the cost baseline. So project schedule becomes an input. A risk register also can be referred to, because if there are risky items, those costs also, the impact also must be factored in. Then enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets. Enterprise environmental factors, we should know the labor cost, the climatic conditions, the soil conditions. So all those things helps to, at the time of budgeting, all these things helps. Then organizational process assets. If you have a lot of reusable components, we can save that cost. Or if you have to follow a special process, that cost need to be factored into. Sorry. Then historical information also plays a major role at the time of budgeting, because we have to refer back to the historical data so that we can do kind of an analogous or parametric using that data and incorporate those things into the budget. So this is the general environment in which budgeting happens. Cost estimates, the project schedule is available to you, risk register is available to you. You have access to the enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets and the historical information while doing the project's budgeting. Now let us try to understand the components of a budget. At the lowest level, it is the activity cost estimate. We should know exactly how much each activity is going to cost. And we aggregate them and we add to it activity contingency reserve, which is nothing but cost buffers, because if something goes wrong or if it goes beyond expectation, we have to provide some cost buffer. So that is the activity contingency reserve. So activity cost estimate plus activity contingency reserve, when we aggregate it, we get the work package cost estimate. And to the work package cost estimate, we add work package contingency reserve. So at the work package level also we add some contingencies. Then aggregation of this work package and the contingencies at the work package level put together become our control account. And that is the cost baseline. There is a cost baseline, and on top of it we add management reserves. That is for the senior management if the scope changes. So for those kind of things they will have some reserves, that is the management reserve. So to the cost baseline we add the management reserve and we arrive at the project's budget. So everything starts at activity level, then activity contingency reserve put together forms the work package cost estimate, and at a work package level we add work package contingency reserve and aggregate it. That becomes our control account, and that is our cost baseline. And to the cost baseline we add management reserve. That becomes the project's budget. And as discussed before, once a budget will arrive, the budget is one single number, and if you want to really use it for project controlling purposes, we need a cost baseline. That is period wise, how much now labor, January, how much is the budget, February, how much is the budget, March is how much. Similarly, material, equipment, subcontractors, project management. The heads will change depending on the nature of the project. For an EPC project, it can be, these heads will be, say, maybe like this. For IT project, it could be different. So based on the nature of the projects, the major heads will change here. But then this is the whole purpose. Because if you have a budget, month-wise budget like this, which is known as a cost baseline, based on the actuals, we can always compare and see where we are. Some organizations where they follow this budgeting and the cost best practices, especially the Sarbanes-Oxley, if they are following, they're very stringent about it. In one organization I worked, it was for projects, it was like nobody asks you, nobody denies. If you ask for money, nobody denies. The only question asked back is, have you budgeted for it? That is the first question. Second question is, have you budgeted for it in this particular month? And if it is there, it is a given, you can take it. And if it is not there, then it is difficult. It has to go to the very senior levels for approval and then come back. So yeah, so this is very, very important because sometimes as project manager, I used to cut a sorry figure in front of the team. Suddenly they achieve a major milestone and we want to celebrate, or we want to go out, a team outing, which they really deserve. Then I go back to the finance and ask for money. The first question asked is, have you budgeted for it? If you have budget, you do it. Otherwise, it is a difficult exercise. So while budgeting the project, we have to think through all these aspects. Otherwise, you as a project manager, you can be in trouble. The cost baseline does not include management reserve, because the previous slide, if you see, on the cost baseline we add management reserve and arrive at the project budget. But when we do a cost baseline, we don't consider this management reserve. Cost baseline, we are using only this part of it. That is, that cost baseline is spread across a timeline. Then funding requirements for funding requirements, how much this project needs in the first month, second month, or first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. For that purposes, we use both cost baseline and management reserve. And funding limit reconciliation is nothing but it's required funds versus the availability of funds. Because for projects, cash flow management is very, very important. And if you don't have sufficient funds, and if you don't pay the suppliers and subcontractors on time, they will delay the supplies, and they get demotivated, or they can even go bankrupt, and that will impact your project adversely. So this funding limit reconciliation is very important, so that sponsors can be very proactive in making the necessary funds available for the project. So funding limit reconciliation is the funds required versus funds available month after month. So without a cost baseline, cost control is not possible. So this is a very important step in project management. So we have to do the budgeting, we have to define the control accounts at a work package level, then aggregation, then we should arrive at the project budget, and then spread it on a timeline, that is the cost baseline, so that monitoring and control of the cost becomes very effective. I'm really glad that people are seeing value in these videos. So they get back to me, saying that okay, this is helping them to understand the concepts very clearly. And if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, subscribe. And if you want to join the fully integrated 35 contract hours project management training, you just scroll down. I have provided the link for registration. So if you can provide little more details, some details about you, we'll be able to get back to you and help you participate in the integrated project management training, which runs for 10 weeks, covering the entire project management body of knowledge, with a lot of emphasis from a practitioner's perspective. Thank you very much.